Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Omega Metroid podcast from OmegaMetroid.com. My name is Andy Spiteri, joined by Doominal Crossing, Dakota Lasky. Guys, a lot of people asking if we are on speaking terms this week after last week. Can we confirm that...
We're not. We're confirming that we're not, actually.
There's actually a divorce in progress here happening. How are you guys?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize this. We're actually not together right now. We're recording in separate houses at the moment. Believe it or not. No. I mean, honestly, I had so much fun last week. I think Dak, you mentioned like, hey, it's been a while since we had like a really heated like kind of a heated. I wouldn't even say like fight, but like kind of like a really passionate discussion. And I don't know. Everyone else is wondering on my end. I was having fun with that whole discussion last week, and so everything is cool beans on our end. As for what I've been up to, my goodness, this day has been extremely busy for me. So yesterday after work, I came back to my car, and I think I accidentally parked underneath a bird's nest because it was just drenched in bird poop when I got off work yesterday. And so by the time I got home, my car wash was already closed, so I was like, okay, whatever, I'll get it done tomorrow. So I get in my car, I go over to the car wash. Traffic is just an absolute nightmare. It's literally just down the block, and it's still taking me like more than 5 minutes to get there, which again doesn't seem too bad, but it's like literally just down the block. I make one right turn and I should be there. So I finally get to the car wash, and I swear to God, of all the days, today is the day they just started doing renovations and the whole place is closed down. And so the next closest car wash is like another 15 minutes away. So I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me. So I had to drive all the way down there, get my car washed. Didn't even get all the bird poop off. So I still have some other bird poop left over in my car that I have to manually wipe out. But I'm at this point, I've been running so many errands today that I'm just beat, and I'm just going to do that tomorrow. That's my bird poop story. How are you?
The podcast
How are you guys doing today?
need to get you a beer. I'm good. I have my car is okay. It's still holding together, so no bird poop to report over on my end. You, Dak?
My car is in a covered parking garage, so no bird poop, no snow. We had our first snow of the season, which was great. We got like 2 inches, and that was lovely. Did some holiday stuff over the weekend. Went to like the botanical garden to see the holiday trains. Went to Abby's concert, which was fun. So yeah, I mean, it was a good time. I've been really busy with work. And then it was nice it feels like the month is flying by, and I've really barely been able to get into the holiday spirit. I have Christmas cookies to bake, and I've got movies and TV shows and specials to watch, and it's already literally, as we record this, halfway through the month. So I have Christmas shopping I still need to do. So yeah, a lot going on, but my car maybe needs car wash, but not for any other reason other than normally driving it, and not because it was underneath a tree parked outside.
Well, that's good to hear. You saying that, like, I haven't done any Christmas shopping at all. I haven't even started, actually. I don't even know who I'm buying. I'm buying for my nephew and nieces, and I think my dog and cat. I'm like, that's it. And I am hoping I can just get away with that. I actually have to do some Christmas baking after this show for a little work potluck. Work has been killing me, but I'm going to tell you what I did this weekend, guys. I grinded on this Metroid Prime 4 Omega Metroid walkthrough, and we are way ahead of schedule. I was thinking it would take a couple months to finish, and it probably will in order for like the full, complete, wham bam, step-by-step guide. But like, man, we got all the work done on every expansion location in the game. We got great screenshots and videos, detailed guides where to go, how to get them, where they are. Maps should be up next week. I'm having a custom map made, so not the crappy in-game map that I was complaining about last week. lots of scan stuff coming in as well, logbooks and hopefully missable scans up by the time people are listening to this. So the walkthrough is really coming together completely. So which is kind of nice because I grinded all weekend. I was happy with where we're at with it, and it's like the first walkthrough that we've done that was like a big team effort. So very, very pleased with that. So it was a half plug there, but like that's literally what I've been doing for like the last week is just after work I'm like, okay, what can I do tonight? And I think it's going good so far.
Yeah, I will hopefully be able to contribute a little bit more after the podcast. I've been, my work schedule has just been so weird this week. That's like the best way I can put it. It's been a lot of back to back what I like to call clopeners, where you close and then immediately open the next day, and it has just been frying me this week. But hopefully I'll be I'm recharged now, so definitely have some time to get a little bit more work done. And also, as to your topic earlier, I do have all my Christmas shopping done. All the presents are wrapped. Everything's taken care of. So I'm at least glad to have that off my back.
Oh, look at this guy. Real good, genuine person here. This guy's not getting coal in his stocking.
I'm at the point now where like I'm negotiating with people for Christmas. I'm like, hey, just don't buy me anything and I won't buy you anything, okay? Like my dad, my sister, I'm like, what do you guys need? You don't need anything. I don't need anything. If I want something, I'll just go get it. I just, but my nephews and my nieces, like for sure. But like everyone else, I'm just like, let's just go for dinner or something like that. I'm trying to live my life like that, going for the last couple of years.
I'm usually pretty good at finding gifts for people in my life. The one person that's always a little bit difficult is my grandfather. I never know exactly what to get him, and so I always have to like workshop that with some of the other family members. But everyone else, I usually have a pretty good idea of like something that I know they'll like.
Oh, there you go. I'll tell you what people did not like, and I was expecting this, but they did not like my amiibo take last week. I would say that the majority.
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked too. I'm shocked too. But
I'm so shocked.
I don't take it back. I really don't. I honestly don't. But definitely the people were certainly team Doom and Dak, as to be expected. But I don't know. I actually like got the radio now on my. I hadn't busted out the amiibo before last week, and so I got the skins, I got the radio, and I'm just gonna double down and say, like, feel free to disagree. You can call me a shill. Maybe I got a couple extra bucks from Nintendo as a bribe here, but like I really just think it's like one of those things that's nice to have, not essential to have. And I think the crux of the conversation was like people hate the Soul Valley theme, and I think that's like a separate issue. But you guys certainly won the popular opinion on that, no doubt.
Andy, I will say of the many things I do respect of you, it's that not only do you have horrible takes, but you stand by them. You don't flip-flop, you don't like cave, you hold firm or double down on your horrible takes, and that takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of guts. So I do respect that about you.
It's a lonely spot being at the top like this,
Totally.
It's the weight of the world is on you, but you do what you can. But no, I think that like a lot of people were definitely kind of agreeing with you there, and so I guess we'll chalk that up as a feisty one that we had last week, which I thought was really fun. And I don't know, it might be another feisty one this week, guys, because we are going over to two new areas. So last week we obviously left off with big discussion about Soul Valley. We talked about Volt Forge, and now we're entering into the second act of the game, which is, of course, the Ice Belt. Excuse me, I wrote down Snow Belt. The Ice Belt and the Flare Pool areas. And I gotta say, so I'm doing the game on hard mode right now, and I'm just about to get to Ice Belt. I was hoping I could get there before we started this episode, but I have a lot of notes to go through. I think that these are, generally speaking, strong areas. I don't know. I guess we'll find out what everybody thinks here, but lots to get into here. So I guess that we should just jump in. Although I do want to quickly shout out two things. Number one, a lot of people tagged us on their Spotify Wrapped for having Omega in their top podcast of the year. So just want to say thank you to everybody. So cool to see like Omega or the Zelda cast Can't see anybody had virtual theater, but that'd be cool if you did. So thank you to everybody that showed that. And as we were going on air here, we have some breaking news. For the Metroidvania perspective, we got new DLC coming for Hollow Knight, Silk Song. So no date given beyond 2026, and you'll have to forgive me, Doom. I forget what it's called already, but Sea of Sorrow actually is what it's called. So looks pretty cool, I think.
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer yet, and obviously I still need to play Silk Song. That's something I'm hoping to get around to next year. There is, in general, there is a ton of games, or a ton of games that I really wanted to play this year that I just did not have the time to get around to, including Silk Song. And so that's one of them that I'm hoping I can finally get around to next year. Can't make any guarantees, but yeah, quite a laundry list of stuff that I really wish I got to play this year.
Apparently it's free too, actually. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There you go. Dak, you played Silk Song?
I've not played Silk Song. With Doom, there are a lot of I'm behind on my games, and I'm the dummy who has been playing Nintendo games and wasting my money on that instead of playing other games that are maybe better for my time. So hopefully I can rectify that soon.
I'm gonna just kind of come right out and say I think that Silk Song. I know Silk Song is my game of the year this year, and I had just shoemarked Metroid Prime 4 for that spot, and well,
I gotta at least play that and Claire
Obscura, whatever.
Obscura.
Yeah.
Those are the two
Expedition
games.
33.
Thank you. The FRPG.
Did you guys take in any of the Game Awards? I can't say that I did this year, but
I did not watch the Game Awards this year. I know that Expedition 33 swept. There was some cool game announcements. I liked the
there was some cool
I
stuff.
Yeah. The Tomb Raider announcements look pretty cool. I'm more interested in the new game, but that remake looks interesting as well. There was something else. Oh yeah, there was a new Mega Man game announced.
That looked awesome.
I thought it looked all right. Honestly, I was
like
just
a
more
Flash game.
I was more so happy that there was a new Mega Man game coming out. But I looked at it and I'm like, that
pretty
looks
much.
fine.
The game looks like totally fine. Like it didn't blow me away, but I was just like, oh, cool, it's Mega Man. Like, sweet.
I thought there was a bunch of cool stuff. There was that Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic game,
yeah.
Star Wars Galactic Racer, the Tomb Raider games, Ace Combat looked cool. There were a couple other games that I thought looked interesting that I'm excited for. So I don't know. I mean, I watch it the same way I watch it every year, which is I'm playing a game or doing something and I'll put it on the other monitor and see the awards that get announced and see a trailer and then there you go, and that's the Game Awards. I mean, I thought it was at this point you get your ads, you get your trailers, you get your Muppets. It's what it is, that's you got the flute guy. It's the same thing every year, pretty much. For better, for worse, it's inoffensively is what it is. But I did watch it, and I was playing also the new Battlefield, which I was having some fun with, which was pretty cool as well, which I'll probably jump back into at some point.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the Game Awards, and I feel like for me, I covered them so many years for Zelda Dungeon, but to me, I'm watching the Game Awards the last couple of years, and maybe it's just my brain, but I'm like, man, every single trailer is kind of a cinematic story heavy trailer, which could be cool, but it's a little bit of overload. And they announce these games that are so far away that it almost doesn't even feel real. They announced Elder Scrolls 6, and it's well, when is that coming out?
That wasn't at the Game
Dark.
Awards. That wasn't at the Game Awards. That was at E3. But I think that does play
that was
into
at
it
the
because
Game
a lot
Awards
of these
a couple years ago, wasn't it?
No, not Elder Scrolls 6, no. Just Perfect Dark was, yeah, but not ES. But I think that does play into a big part of why all the trailers feel the same, is because they are announced way too early. It's all no gameplay, very CG, very very cinematic and so I feel like that plays a big role into why a lot of the trailers can kind of blend together. And so it's one of those things where if you're already a fan of either the IP or maybe the developer who's working on it, then you're going to get pumped. But otherwise, it's probably just going to look oh, that looks neat. Maybe I'll check it out eventually.
Yeah, I think also the style of grim dark sci-fi or fantasy is just pretty popular with I mean, it was for gamers for a while. Maybe they're getting sick of it now, and certainly with devs. I think it's also something that, and this is complete speculation, but I feel like a lot of these games are built in Unreal Engine 5 and stuff like that, and that kind of style a lot of people are maybe versed in it, or it's easier to produce and easier for it to look good and cinematic. Like that could be it
Yeah.
too. Yeah, there are certainly some trailers that like kind of blend together. I was also one of those people that was waiting for the Half-Life 3 announcement that never came, and instead got Mega Man and Overwatch with horses, which needless to say was not what I was anticipating. I still have hope though. If anyone else is also riding it out for Half-Life 3, please let us know. Please let me know in the comments because I still believe. I still have hope.
Well, there you go.
The
Oh,
Half-Life 3 copium is actually unreal.
Come on,
I do believe
I gotta believe in
I
something.
will say I don't know when it's going to happen. I do believe it will happen someday. Just not this year and just not next year, but it
what
will
do you think
happen
happens
someday.
first? Half-Life 3 or like a new Earthbound game?
Half-Life 3. They're never making a new
Half-Life
They're
honestly
not
Half-Life
making a new
3 if I'm being
Earthbound
honest.
game, man. They're not doing
I
it.
I kind of agree, but everyone has that one thing that's like so outlandish, but you just cling to it, and I'm like, man, what are these Nintendo Directs? If they did like a remake, even a remake would be fine. Oh, like that would just be so great to see that, but not very likely.
I will say, while we're on the topic of Game of the Year, probably to no one's surprise, my Game of the Year is Doom: The Dark Ages. Maybe that changes if I once I play Silk Song or Claire Expedition 33 or RoboCop as well. That was the original game was my Game of the Year in 2023. I still haven't played that expansion yet, but yeah, right now, Doom: The Dark Ages, and frankly, it's not even close. Which hey, it
Yeah.
is what it is.
It's what it is.
Yeah, I think one last pitch here before we talk Metroid, but like Silk Song for me just like totally like leveled up the Metroidvania genre, and like I have like big expectations for Metroid 6 now. Like it needs to match what Silk Song did, and hopefully it does. Hopefully, and we'll talk about this more in 2026 as well. But like, yeah, I thought that game just like really kind of raised the bar for what a modern Metroidvania should be. Like we're talking like a 65-hour Metroidvania, arguably too long, but like that's kind of what I'm expecting from Metroid 6. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, from Metroid 6 we go to Metroid Prime 4. And we'll start off with the Ice Belt. So like we said, last time we left off, we were in Soul Valley. We got Viola. We're cruising around. We're loving the desert. We're going off ramps. We're crashing into all the things littered around the desert. We're exploring all the shrines, and now we have ended up at the Ice Belt. And I have seen that the general consensus among most Metroid fans is that Ice Belt is the best area in the game. Have you guys also seen that?
That's about the consensus that I've gotten to, yeah. And I will say I really like Ice Belt a lot. I think I slightly prefer Volt Forge, but I think they're pretty neck and neck for me.
Yeah. For me, oh yeah, Ice Belt is far and away the best area of the game I've played so far. It's still in the grand scheme of things to me a weak Metroid area,
Hmm.
but in the relative to this game specifically, it is the strongest area in terms of what I enjoyed and how it was executed and designed and whatnot. So I'll just couch my opinion with that.
Yeah. I'll agree with that as well, just in the sense that I think as a standalone area in a bubble, I think it's fantastic. But I think in the grand scheme of the game, because every single area is very point A to point B, I think that kind of weakens all the areas to a degree. But I think in a bubble, I think it's a fantastic A+ area. But that's just my opinion.
I wouldn't even say I think I really enjoyed Ice Belt, but I wouldn't say it was my favorite area in the game. Maybe number three, and not including the desert, obviously, which is its own special thing.
Oh, gotta include that.
Gotta include that, yes.
Gotta include that.
I Yeah, I really liked Ice Belt. Don't get me wrong, but it did kind of highlight one of the issues that I had with this game, as we'll get into here. So let's start off though with the positives, because there's a lot of positives, and I really do think this is a strong area. Like
Well,
again, relative to this game.
yes, relative to this game. This game to me, or this not this game. Well, yes, this game, but like this area to me is so indicative of the larger problem of Metroid Prime 4 to me, and that there's so many things it's the game is too inconsistent. There's so many things that this area I think does really well, and at the same time doesn't do very well. like competing with each other. It's like half and half to me. Like if the best parts of Ice Belt were throughout the whole game, this game would be so much better. But if it was more of the bad parts of it, it feels more like what we actually got, or like even worse than that. Like there's I think Ice Belt has a lot of highs and a lot of lows to me. But I do have a lot of positive things to say about it. I still think it's the strongest. I just wish that like it was consistent and the game overall was more consistent with the best things that it does.
Fair. Yeah, fair. Well, I'll tell you what, let's kick it off, because I think that the opening for Ice Belt is like super strong, and I think we'd all agree with that. So Samus comes in, she's in that like big snowstorm, there's the wolves circling her, they're pouncing, they're attacking, this is shown in the trailers. I thought this was awesome. Like, this scene looks great, it was frantic, it was like this like sort of challenging for what it was. Like, you're not gonna die, but like there's a lot of wolves coming at you. Made great use of the new fire shot. Just like a really cool set piece, I felt like. So it was a really strong way to introduce yourselves to Ice Belt, and then of course you kind of get the grand finale after where you meet a new character. But sticking on the wolf attack for a second, I was just like, man, this is like really cool, and it really made me want like I wish that we could have had like an open snow area as well, like in plus the desert, you know? Like I think like that's kind of my takeaway, is like I wish that each area was open but smaller than the desert is, but open enough where you could like explore around. That would be really cool. But yeah, I thought that this is like a super like wicked intro to the Ice Belt.
I'll say one of the I remember when I first saw the trailer and I was like, oh, I can't wait to find out what these wolves are called. What like cool Metroid-y name are they going to give this? And so finally I'm playing the game, I pull out my scan visor, Snow Wolf.
Yeah.
There you go.
The names of
Ice Belt, okay?
Again, a long-standing critique that Dak and I have had with some of the names, but you know,
here's
whatever.
Here's my headcanon, okay? Just bear with me. I'm gonna be a Nintendo apologist here. My headcanon is that they have some like super weird Lamorn name, but like Samus's helmet translates it to like what it would be in English. So maybe their name is just like what did you call it? A Clenopening earlier or something like that, Doom? Maybe they're called Clenopenings, and it translates to like Ice Wolf.
Clopener. This is a family-friendly podcast here.
Oh, yes. Don't Google Clenopening.
You know what really kind of got me going was how the Lamorn scientists talk about green energy. I'm like, they don't have a scientific word for this. Like, okay, snow wolf, I get maybe, even though the description is like it might as well be an earth wolf, it's the same thing. But like green energy, man, come on.
Yeah, that's super lit. It's even weirder because like when you scan more, and I can't remember. This isn't like a major spoiler or anything. Just more like a very very like deep lore thing. But like they talk about like the minerals that it comes from, and the mineral that forms the green energy does have like this Metroid-y scientific name, but like when it converts into the substance, it's just called green energy. So that like,
and they call it like
that
GE.
puzzled me.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? I will say, beyond to go back to what we were talking about though, I did love this initial wolf encounter. It was really fun, felt unique. I wish there were more kind of like dynamic. Not I'm saying I don't want this copy and pasted throughout every area, but like just more kind of dynamic, like different enemy engagements that were really cool. I loved like the low visibility. I don't know about you. I actually almost did die in this one because I was like, how long is this supposed to go on for? And I was running out of ammo.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this going to be a situation where I'm supposed to die or lose? And like the game is forcing me in that situation, or is it like just a certain amount of time or enemies taken down? Because I got to the limit, and then finally it gave me a cutscene. So I was like, oh, that was sick. That was cool. This is probably one of the best parts of the game so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because I heard some people complaining about it, that they weren't fans of like, oh, I hate like scripted encounters where you're supposed to die. I kind of liked it just because I wasn't expecting that, and it was just because like at first I didn't even notice what was going on. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm taking out these wolves left and right. Oh, now more is starting to coming in, but you know I'm still dodging and weaving. But then it got to a point where it's like, hey, I'm not getting any ammo back.
Yeah,
I'm running low on ammo, and the same amount of enemies are circling me, and now more are coming after. And so I'm like. Yeah. Okay, am I supposed to do something else? And so I tried to escape, and then you get that thing where Samus just gets body slammed back, and it's like, okay, no, I can't escape here. I'm in this thing.
Yeah,
I'm in this thing, and finally, you know, you do get whittled to the end, and I'm like, am I supposed to die here? I don't know. I'm gonna try to fight as long as I can. May as
Did
well.
did you
Halo
guys
Reach
find
survive,
any
but
shot expansions before going here? Because
I can't
I
even
found
remember.
like 4 shot expansions, so I had like 40 extra
even
fire
even
shots.
then, if you had some extra shots, like it was still like it kept you down a little bit. I think like sure, a game like Metroid should be like mostly natural kind of stuff, but there's absolutely and always has been a place for scripted events where like the developers can curate like a moment specifically that they know they can really like focus on and like make sure it happens to the right way that they planned it so it's like the most possible fun or whatever it is. And this is one of those kinds of moments. I thought this was great. It's not like
Yeah.
the game is full of them. I would love a little more actually. And a boss fight scripted it just as much. Like it was almost like a little mini boss fight. So yeah, and it worked really well with the terrain. It was really cool. Like yeah, there was that moment where I'm like, there were more of them coming. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna survive here. Like this is cool, and
yeah.
it was hyped. Like it was a great moment. I was very invested in it. So I thought that was a great start to the area.
I
Yeah, if
thought it was
anything, it
like one of the
reminded me
coolest
of
set pieces in the whole game. To your
yeah.
point, yeah,
I think
I was gonna say if
just a
anything,
great Metroid moment in
yeah,
general.
yeah.
Just a
it
really
reminded me.
fun moment. Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the first Ridley encounter in Super Metroid, where you're not supposed to win that fight, but eventually, once you get enough health knocked down, he does his Mode 7 flash flyby. So that's the first thing that hit my mind.
Well, it certainly doesn't look like Samus is going to survive this fight, but she's down. Her meter is barely it's hanging on, and all of a sudden, boom! We get a big shot from the newest Galactic Federation trooper that we meet, Takabi, who I think is like a really cool character. I like Takabi a lot. I think he's like the general consensus fan favorite of this group, and I mean, I know, like, if you want to have the conversation, like, you'd prefer Metroid without any companions or Galactic Federation troopers. I think that's totally valid. But they're here, so, like, let's talk about the ones that are here. I thought that he was really cool, and like, as you kind of talk with him more throughout the game, he emerged as one of my favorites. So, yeah, I thought that this guy was like a welcome addition. He wasn't too annoying. He wasn't, like, tutorially, I guess, like Miles was. Yeah, I thought that Takabi was cool.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd really classify any of the troopers as fan favorites, just because there is still a little bit of like I don't want to say like divisive consensus, but more just like people kind of on their rankings. But I will say Takabi seems to be the more consistent one that people are interested in. I would tend to
Yeah.
agree. I think I would say especially with stuff that I won't get into now, with some stuff that happens later on, some optional stuff with him. I thought was really intriguing, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because it's not really relevant. But yeah, overall, I like Takabi. I think it's really interesting to have like a spiritual character in the
Yeah.
Metroid universe, other than kind of like your general Chozo spirituality. So I thought that was like really interesting. I kind of wanted a little bit more of
I
that
was gonna say I want a
actually,
little
but
bit
it's
more than that. He like has
yeah,
like one line about it, and I was like, oh, okay, what was that about? And then he like, and then he leaves or you leave, and that's it. I was like, I was kind of expecting a bit more from that, but at least it gave him a little bit more, slightly more depth than maybe some other characters in the game, like one that shows up in the flare pool. But um, yeah, I mean, he's cool, I guess. He's cool, like maybe like a cool cosplayer at an anime convention is cool, maybe. Like he has this like the voice acting for this guy is he sounds like a parody bad like English like dub for an anime. I couldn't help but laugh anytime he talked. Like the voice direction just sounds so detached from what's happening in the game, and he sounds so corny.
I
And
don't know if I agree with that. I think he sounds
oh,
fine.
I'm sure you do. I totally see how you think he's cool. I'm just saying for me, he comes across as like this really bad anime dub sounding character who almost sounds like a parody, who is just very like horny cliche. I don't know. It didn't feel like it felt like more of like a Xenoblade character or something like that than like a Metroid character.
You know what I respect
Yeah.
about you is that you have these horrible takes and you double
Dude,
down on
you
them.
know what? You can totally disagree with me, man. You can't tell me I didn't hear what I heard with my ears. I think the other thing that probably bothered me with about this character, and maybe this is not just him, but almost like the game doesn't have like a hint system. It has a remind me of things I'm already doing system. There's so many times with this character and later where I'm already on my way to do the thing and get it done, and I know in my head what I have to do, and then I have this guy chime in and tell me what I'm already about to do. I'm like, you could have at least told me this 5-10 minutes ago, and I was still figuring it out, so it'd actually be a hint. I was like doing things through the area, and he's like, "Hey, I saw you open that door. That's great." And I'm like, "I know, man. That's not even helping me. Why? I don't need that. Go figure out, fix
I think
the console, whatever you're doing."
Yeah,
you're right.
When you don't want hints, Miles will always be in your ear telling you what to do. And then
Yeah.
the one time you do want hints and you go to radio, it's you get
So many
static.
times in this game, I actually want a hint, and I call them, and they won't answer. But then I'm on my way to do a thing, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, I saw you. I need you to destroy that thing. I saw you got it. Great job." I'm like, "Dude, where were you?"
I think that's like a problem, like a larger issue problem with this game in general. I guess we'll just talk about it now since we're talking about it. I would be like shocked. Maybe I would. I'm not going to say shocked actually, but like I would be surprised if Nintendo didn't patch out the incessant hint, like especially when you're in Sol Valley. Like, it's brutal. Like the amount of times that you're just like, hey, come back to base camp to upgrade your whatever, or have you been to Flare Pool in a while? Maybe you forgot. Like, I know, I get it. I think this game is generally really bad at that, and like maybe they're trying to appeal to a wider audience, and that's totally fine. But I do think that it is like, I mean, it's outrageous that you don't have the option to turn off hints in this game like you did in Metroid Prime 1.
Yeah, and that's the big thing right there, because like I can totally understand, Metroid Prime 4, it's it was this big anticipated game. You want to make the process a bit more friendly for people who've never played a Metroid game before, who don't understand the Metroidvania exploration formula, and so you want to make that onboarding a bit easier. That's the word I was looking for, and so I can totally understand putting a feature in that, but just let us turn it off. It's easy. It's simple. You had other games that allowed it to do that, and then everyone wins.
Yeah.
But there is no option, and then it's pretty aggravating if you don't want that.
It's pretty aggravating. Yeah. I will defend a lot of things about this game. I have critiques about a lot of things though about this game as well, and that is like almost at the top. Is that it is incredibly aggravating when you are trying to do something as basic as explore, and the game just doesn't want you to. So
the game is horrified. The game is horrified at the prospect of you getting lost, which is really unfortunate because that's kind of what I come to Metroid for.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, help me when I'm actually lost, and don't try to help me when I've already figured it out. That's the worst thing, when I'm already doing something and someone tells me to do the thing. Like I'm already washing the dishes. You don't got to tell me to do and wash the dishes. So it's not even just like the hint system; it's the implementation of it specifically. Like it feels like almost counterintuitive at times.
Mm-hmm. I don't really disagree. I think that it's one of the biggest weaknesses of this game, and something that I feel like has got to be easy enough to fix, where they should just patch it. Like, I have to, like I said, I would be surprised if they didn't patch it. Maybe not like right away, but in a within the next month. Like, I have to believe that like they are gonna fix that, because it is incredibly obnoxious. Talking about the Ice Belt area itself, I'm going to go kind of high level here. I thought that this was, like, layout-wise, like, a pretty fun area. Like, there's 5 different levels for you to go through, some cool puzzles. I think that the way down when you turn on kind of the generator or whatever, and then you come back through the morph ball tunnels was like, pretty fun. I do have a couple of things that I wanted to point out as well. First and foremost, I thought that those like psychic nodes that you had to find and like decode or whatever, I thought those were like kind of cool, like a neat little idea. I'm surprised that they didn't use those more in the game actually, and that it was just limited to here.
Yeah, I thought that. I mean, it encourages you to like scan more of your stuff and like explore a little bit at least, or at least try to investigate. It was kind of funny how you're in the ice area and there's a big snowflake door blocking your progress, but fine. I thought it was cool, like, I was like, at first I was like, what even is a TK code? I was like, is that something like, am I looking for numbers literally in the like around? And it wasn't until I actually had like scanned something that happened to have one in there. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought this was was decently fun. Like it felt more like a Metroid encounter and like thing to do than previous stuff in the game had. Like, you're like by yourself, this like creepy kind of place, and it's you're going through a cool environment, and you got to explore a little bit to find a way through to this next door. Like, totally cool. Yeah, I like this pretty much.
Think what I really like about both this and Vault Forge, and it's kind of interesting because, like, if you think about it, you're kind of doing the same thing in both areas. You're traversing one area, turning the power on, and then going back through the area with like new context. But I've talked about one of my favorite things about Metroid Fusion is kind of how throughout the game the environments are evolving and changing throughout the story and are creating all of these new scenarios that you didn't really get to see in previous Metroid games because there were more scripted events. And you see a little bit of that in the Prime games, but I actually really enjoyed that about Prime 4. How, while I would have much, I really was missing those kind of more interconnected environments. One thing I did really like was, it still did have you revisiting, a lot of areas, with these new contexts. In this case, with Vault Forge and Ice Belt with the power turned on. With Ice Belt in particular, though, it's not just the power being turned on, especially when you're coming back on that second trip. You have like the ice is melting around you in real time as you're leaving the rooms. Like it'll start, you'll start off as you're leaving the room and the ice will still be relatively frozen, maybe a little bit of steam, but then once you like reach the halfway point, it's like really starting to melt. There's like droplets and like some very small waterfalls happening with like the ice. And so I thought like that stuff was like really cool, and I was like super on board with that.
Yeah, I thought that the layout generally was cool. It helped this area that there was like scans and logs, which I do think is as a weakness of this game. And I'll you know what, I'll say this as well. Actually, I think that going back to Soul Valley for a second, I do think that there should have been some Galactic Federation lore there. Weird that there wasn't on any of the crash sites, but we did get some here, and so it made it more interesting. I kind of feel like, I feel this way, like I was feeling this way in general before we got to the finale of the game. So like by this point in the game, I was like, the story is kind of a mess. Like I feel like it is like a complete retread of Metroid Prime, like that story, to the point where like you have now you learned about the Lamorn, and they have so spoilers everybody, but so they have infused themselves with these psychic crystals, and the green energy rained on everybody with the psychic crystal, which, surprise, has turned them into grievers, and they are trying to conduct experiments and transform themselves back from grievers. So while I thought that was cool and like it was an interesting bit of world building and story, I was kind of just like, man, I do feel like we've been here before. I'm not like, this isn't the strongest story that I've ever been told in a Metroid game, but you know what? Like, okay, that's fine. I will say also, like, even in the context of this relatively like not strong story, I was like, I really don't feel bad for the Lamorn at all. Like, you mess with nature, that's kind of what you get. So, I did think that while this area was like story heavy, let's just call it, in terms of like the areas, or at least lore heavy, it I don't know, maybe that's why it's not like my number one area, is just because I was just like, feel like we've done this before. And frankly, the facility in general, I did think that it was hard not to make comparisons to the Space Pirate research facility in Phendrana. I don't know about you guys.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
I
pretty
think
much the
that's
same
fair.
thing. It's
Yeah.
like a big facility in the snow. They're experimenting on other things and it's going wrong. Like, I mean, just that one through line for the Lamorn lore is literally like scientists doing like, we're doing this research. It's not going well. We're running out of resources. It's not going well. We're running out of resources. Everyone's bailing, and like we know where it's gonna go. So I agree. Like, yeah, again, I don't expect a crazy story from Metroid game. I expect a compelling one or an interesting one, but not necessarily one that's like, Shakespeare or something like that, or just really in depth, or Game of Thrones or whatever. But and I'm talking about in terms of scale, but like, and in a way quality. But I yeah, I would at least want something new and like feel like, all right, let's do something a little different, something interesting, like something we haven't done in the Metroid series before, or maybe a new spin on something that's been done before. And it does feel like very like, just retreading old ground. And like, yeah, you know what? I did appreciate that this area does lead to some building and backstory. Like, okay, like the Lamorn are being turned into grievers for whatever reason, and they're trying to turn themselves back, whatever it is. Okay, I'm here for that. That sounds cool. That sounds interesting. I like the little cutscene you get. I like you're finding all these specimens around there. Like, totally cool. Fine. I think that I have no problem with. Certainly could it have been maybe executed in a bit more of an original or compelling way, sure. But I'm mostly okay with the story we kind of get. It just, yeah, it does feel like once again we're kind of
Yeah.
retreading some old ground, and we've seen this kind of thing in Metroid before, and it wasn't very like, well, interesting. I feel like maybe it was interesting because up until that point, story wise, really nothing has happened, and I'm kind of looking for something to latch onto that's like, a compelling narrative, and so far there hasn't been. So any semblance of that is interesting to me. But yeah, it was okay. I thought the conceit of the Grievers and Lamorn, while not being super surprising, them being attached and maybe the
Mhm.
same thing, is at least somewhat compelling.
Say, Andy, you're spoiling one of my future rants that I'm going to give when we inevitably definitively rank this games, specifically for the story. But we'll save that
We'll get there.
when
We'll
we
get
get
there.
there, because as I alluded to earlier, boy, do I have a lot of stuff to say. I kind of and maybe this isn't fair because it is such a huge part of this area, but I do kind of put the story stuff like in its own separate category, separate from the area, which again, maybe depending on who you are, maybe that's not fair because this is such a huge story area. But I'm kind of more, at least for me, when I look at the area, I'm focused more on like the atmosphere and the gameplay and that kind of stuff. And that for me, like really, that hit like pretty much all the bullet points that I really wanted to, even if the story didn't quite do that for me. Let's just say that. One other gameplay thing that I actually really did like that we haven't talked about yet is the wind section. It's only one
Yeah,
room, but
good
we
call.
saw a little, yeah, we saw a
Yeah, this
little
was
bit of
great.
it. Yeah, in the third trailer, and despite it being a single room, I felt like that one room like had like a really cool impact throughout the whole level.
Yeah.
I especially love, the first time you traverse through it, you have to do the chains, you have Samus's hand on the visor like you saw in the trailer, and yeah, the wind's actually like blowing you around, and you actually have to like it's actually a little bit challenging getting across that, I don't even know if bridge is the right word, that narrow like
That
metal like
rickety little pebble bridge or
Yeah.
right.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah. And so from a gameplay perspective, I actually really like that. You really did feel like Samus versus the elements, which you don't really get a lot in Metroid games. So I thought that was cool. And then it's earned on your return trip when you do activate that tram, and so you do feel like, oh, this was like feels like a legitimate reward that I got for overcoming this. It's
Hmm.
again,
Yeah.
it's only one room, but like I thought like that was a really strong point of the area.
That's what I was talking about earlier in the game. Like this area has so many cool high points like this. Like this air the outdoor area here where you're feeling the elements. Like why was this not through the rest of the game? Why when I'm in the desert, I should be getting hit by sandstorms at some points. When I'm in, Fury Green, there should be like torrential downpour. When I'm in the flare pool, like all that kind of stuff where it felt like different and fresh and a little bit of a challenge. Like same with the initial wolf encounter. That was new and fresh. Like, oh, why is there not more of this? Or the details when you're like outside, or even I think it happens inside when your arm can, you can see it kind of like frozen over, like there's a small film of like ice, like details like that. Great. Why is the game not filled with them? Like all that kind of stuff. And maybe you could say, well, it is, you're not noticing it. Okay, fine. But like the outdoor wind area, like that's like so far in the game, like pretty much stands alone. And I was like, damn, like I wish this game was full of these kinds of moments. Cause then if it was, it would be a sick game, but it only does it for like one room, and then you go back to the what you're originally doing. I'm like, man, that was so cool. I want more of that, and you don't really get as much of it. But I agree. I love that sequence. I love that area. It felt fun. It felt different. It felt fresh. It was a little bit of a challenge. It was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And
agree. I
this
really
is
like when you're grappling too, and like you're
I
like
was
hanging on for dear
I was
life.
I was about to say kind of a semi late game spoiler, but like yeah, when you're doing your 100% item cleanup, there's an energy tank where you have to use the grapple beam to get it, and it's really cool because the wind still affects that, and it's literally just you, like you said, holding on to dear life, and I thought that was really cool as well.
Speaking of the grapple, kinda, sorta, the grapple lasso returns, and I thought that this was a much better implementation than in Metroid Prime 3. I will say that. Let's give some flowers here. I really like just being able to push a button instead of like wig-waggling my Wiimote or however they did it with Trilogy. I thought that this felt much, much, much better. And the game does give you a lot of different uses for this during the course of the game. Granted, not to the same extent where like you're siphoning energy or powering up energy, but just like in terms of like combat, in terms of just like exploration, I thought it was a pretty strong power up. Nothing, nothing like world changing, but a welcome addition, and I thought it controlled a lot better.
Yeah, I liked it. So fun fact, I believe, and I haven't tried this yet, but I believe if you do the kind of Wiimote style motion controls, I believe you still can do the classic kind of
I think you can.
grapple
I think it's an
yanking
option
motion.
there. Yeah.
Specifically if you do that, which I think is cool because I personally love doing that, but I also think it's great that you can do a button combo for people who don't want to do that as well. All about accessibility and more options. As for its implementation, I thought it was cool. I was especially happy where later on in the game you actually get some enemy encounters that you actually have to use the grapple on. So that made me happy because I was like, oh, I hope I get to use this in combat too, and you do. I will say there isn't really terribly much new dumb with it. You're pretty much doing the same thing you did in Prime 3, which normally I wouldn't care about, but it's a psychic grapple lasso. So I was like, okay, what's the psychic twist on this going to be? Like what's the new psychic thing? And really all it is like, oh, there is some grapple points that are within the psychic ethereal realm that this can attach to. And it's like, okay, well it's not really new. You could have just put a physical grapple point there instead of just, a quote unquote ethereal one. But otherwise it functions pretty much identically. So, and that's actually, well, I'll talk about this later, but that's kind of a critique I have with a lot of the psychic abilities in this game is a lot of them kind of pull that. And I wasn't a fan of that. But overall, at the very least, I love the grapple lasso in Prime 3 and it's pretty much identical. So on that front, I was happy about that at least.
Okay. What do you think about the grapple lasso? Any analysis to add on top of that?
No, I really don't have anything else to say on it. It's the grapple lasso. Yep, good to see you back.
Yeah, I don't like disagree with what you're saying, Doom. I feel like to me, I'm just kind of like these items function exactly the same as
functions.
What was that word you used earlier again that we should Google?
Clopener.
Oh boy. Yeah, like they all function like identically. They don't need to be physic anything. I think it was more like my headcanon, like a story reason why on this alien planet that is unknown, why you would have like similar kind of power-ups. So
not just similar, identical.
Yes. I mean,
identical. Sometimes it's just straight up identical with psychic in front of it. I'm like, okay, cool.
One other quick thing before two other quick things before we move on from Ice Belt. I did like that the Grievers are just like coming at you out of their stasis pods. I mean, like I think we all walked past those and we're like, oh my god, these guys are gonna melt and they're gonna come right at me. A well-worn trope to be sure, but I think that it's like when it's done right, it's really effective. So I thought that was cool. And then I guess let's talk about the boss of the area.
Oh yeah, I have something on the Grievers. Just something on the Grievers.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Why did they make it so that the Grievers come out and there's this weird warbling noise as like their theme that just plays over the song that's already playing and it just like and like it that is so bad. I just can't how did that make it to the live game? Like how do you sit there? I don't know. It sounds horrible to me.
That bugged me so much, especially because I remember there was a dead Griever that was encased in the ice, and it was still making that sound. And I thought my game was glitched. I'm like, wait, why is it still making noise? It's dead. Like it shouldn't be making any noise right now. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that.
First time you engage encounter them, fine, cool idea. But then every time you run into them, and I think it even continues outside the ice belt too, you just get that. Like, It doesn't sound good. And you know what? I would be totally fine if they just went the space pirate route and like the second you see a Griever, their theme plays. Make it a good theme and have it play until they're dead and then it stops. Why put this horrible effect over the sound you're already hearing? It doesn't sound good. Yeah, that was such a strange choice. I have no idea why they would do that. That was horrible.
I actually don't mind the Griever sound. Well, I'll preface
I'm
it.
so shocked.
I thought that it was less offensive than the Psychic Visor sound. Did
No
I
way.
like?
The psychic visor sounds totally fine.
Wait, I was
The
hold up.
I-
Hold up. I was the one that was complaining about that. I thought you
what?
said I was being nuts.
No way. The psychic thing isn't even a sound. It's just lowering the volume. This is
I agree.
a sound on top of it.
Yeah,
It's adding
I
something.
agree. I agree. The Griever sound is way worse. I was just saying I was the one that was complaining about that last week.
Dude
No,
was
I know,
complaining,
I'm just-
and I agree.
can't see how you
I don't
compare them.
like love the Griever sound, but it didn't like get me to my core. I will say, like
Oh my God, that
the
was-
Psychic Visor one I thought was worse, probably just functionally because I was like, okay, at least I know that there's some Grievers left, so like it at least served some purpose.
I guess, but like, it's not like you were hunting them down. They're chasing you. You know, like they're going after
I'm
you.
not going to defend it. I'm just saying like, I don't mind it. I
just another
would it
one
have
of
been
those
better to
things.
have like a Griever theme? Yeah, probably. Like
It just like it's adding to the mountain of small like decisions. I'm like, why did
Yeah.
they do this? Why did they do this? Why did they do this?
Yeah.
It's so odd to me, and it just like now it happens so often, like it sticks more with you. Because I'm like, bro, come on, like
that one in my list of things for Metroid Prime 4, I will say like that's not even.
It's not
a
near the
top
top,
one.
sure, but like at a certain point, it's like I'm not ranking them anymore. It's just a big load of problems. And I
Yeah.
don't even care where they're ranked at this point.
All right. All right. Let's.
And the other, sorry, before we go to the boss, one more thing. Oh my God, Samus
what
needs to be
now?
talking. Samus
Okay.
needs
Oh
to be
no.
talking.
We're gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that. Let's save
Okay,
that.
okay.
I
All right,
promise
all
you, we're
right.
coming back to that because I will we'll
Like,
come back to that.
It's definitely
That-
definitely relevant in the next area for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, Keratos, the ice boss. So I would say this. I would stipulate that I think that in general, Metroid Prime 4 has good to great bosses. I think that this one was a good boss. I don't think it was a great boss.
Interesting. I actually thought this was the best boss of the game so far up to this point.
Really?
I was about to say I really
Yeah.
I was about to say I really enjoyed this fight. I would
Yeah.
I
thought it was
think
great.
I think I would put it above Zelios. I'm not sure though. I still
Oh, I
really
would. I
enjoyed
definitely
Zelios.
Oh,
Yeah, I thought
no
this,
But,
I thought this
yeah.
fight. I thought this
Yeah,
fight was
I-
great. Like it was challenging. The placement of the weak spot was very odd to me, but the character design was cool. It wasn't just a big ball, which I will hold against Zelios. It's not. It's just a big ball fight. Like fine. I like that this was at least like a creature. It was a little bit more challenging. It was a little harder to hit the weak spot at times. I thought the music from what I don't even remember what the music plays, but it didn't suck. As
The
far
music
as I
in
know,
Ice
'cause I don't-
Belt, I think, was pretty.
Yeah, so like
understated.
I thought this boss fight was probably the best of the game so far up until this point, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun combination of like, really close dodge, especially like during the last third of the boss, like you really have some close dodges where you're just like inches away from getting hit, and because it's very consistently trying to ricochet off the wall and come back at you, and if you don't time it right, you can get absolutely rammed. So I actually really enjoyed that that last third phase as well. And yeah, I just thought it was a really engaging fight overall. So I had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say like I did enjoy it. I think it's still like good, but it was, I don't know, it was missing something to me. I thought that like when it was in the center of the room and like you're spinning around, I was just kind of like oh okay, let's move the fight along. But I mean like a strong enough ending to Ice Belt, I think. But so let's any final thoughts on Ice Belt before we move on to Flare Pool, because I got a lot of that I want to talk about Flare Pool.
Well,
I actually really
I-
enjoyed.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
I was gonna say. I guess we're gonna talk about Samus not talking to people later, but that's
Yes,
the
we
problem.
sure
in this
are.
in Ice
Yeah.
Belt.
It's a problem here too, for sure.
Okay, so I guess we can wait, but I will say it's a problem with Ice Belt, and I will just say overall, going back to my original thoughts, is that it's a decent, it's like a good area for this game, but it feels like if it was in another older Metro game, it would just feel like it would have much more meat on the bone. Like it felt like I was left wanting more, especially with this game where like you go into an area, you kind of beat the whole thing, and then you move on, and you don't really expect to go back to it much more after that, except for like end game stuff. Like when I finished Ice Battle, I was like, that's it. Like I was hoping for more, and especially because I was enjoying the parts that I liked. So, yeah, I mean, I get it has that kind of like the game has that kind of like traditional Zelda design to it, which is cool, but that's not what I'm here for Metroid for. And if at least I am gonna be, I would like the areas and what's happening to be a bit more compelling. At least in a Zelda game, I'm pretty compelled to go from area to area, dungeon to dungeon, based on like the world and the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. In this game, it just feels it feels. Well, I guess the larger point I'll save till Flare Pool. But yeah, I was left wanting more in a good and a bad way. Finishing up Ice Belt.
I will say, and this is coming from someone who does really at least enjoy Ice Belt and Vault Forge, but like I will say, one thing about these areas that I can be very critical on is, unlike other areas in Metroid games, I think the best areas in Metroid games feel like characters unto themselves. I can't really say that about any of the areas in Prime 4. None of these areas feel like characters. They feel like video game areas. And
they blend together.
yeah.
They don't.
It
really
starts
stick
off with the
with you.
name. To be honest with you, the name kind of sets the tone. Like the key artwork is fantastic, but you're right, Doom. Like I will say, like I think that Ice Belt was
Flare
fine.
Pool.
Like I'll say I think it was better than fine. Actually, I thought it was a strong area, but it's missing. I don't even know what, but it's missing something. I think.
I also feel like it's kind of missing a little bit of charm to it. I feel like Metroid areas, like especially in the 2D games, but even the earlier Metroid Prime games, like they have a little bit more charm to them. And I do feel like some of these areas, even just the game in general, kind of feels like the edges are so smoothed out, and it feels so kind of watered down, like a watered down Metroid experience. Like I wish it had a bit more charm and oomph and character to it, and it does feel like just generic, like very like generic kind of sci-fi to me, and the moments.
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
say
gonna
generic,
sign
at
off
least
on
at least
that,
for
yeah.
me, but I
It's-
definitely. I'm not gonna go fully down that rabbit hole, but I do get and even agree partially where you're coming from.
Like out of most Metroid games, it feels more in that direction than others. I'm not saying the game is entirely that way, but of all the Metroid games I've played, it feels that way the most out of them. Even though there are many Metroidisms still alive in the game, and I do feel like it is a Metroid game, but it feels the least like a Metroid, like a mainline Metroid game in terms of being a unique game that I've really played. It's like kind of like Federation Force in a way, where like as a a generic like by the book sci-fi game, it's not bad. It's okay. But as a Metroid game specifically, it does leave a bit to be desired. And that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from this game a lot of the time.
I will say, like, I think that this area is strong. It's I don't know. I did feel like it was missing a little something, but I will also say, like, I do respect and agree that you do want to move on from like the established Metroid Prime formula from like 20 plus years ago. I think this game is trying to find that balance, and I think it's fair to say maybe it didn't find that balance between old and new, because a lot of times, and the lasso is a good example of that. It's like what you might want to be new is old, and then what you might want to be old is new with the game.
Yep.
Which sounds like a very contradictory critique, but I think anyone that played this game, a Metroid fan, would probably agree with that. But we got like a whole other area to go here, so let's move on. This
episode's not going to be 2 hours long. Okay.
Me,
who has not been on an episode of this before.
I said
Plus,
that I
don't
didn't
comment.
want it to be 2 hours long. Okay, not that it would.
Well, to be fair, I think there's a lot more to talk about for Ice Belt than there is Flare Pool.
You're probably right. Yes.
So-
But let's take a quick detour back to Vault Forge, because of course we do need to go back and get Viola IC, and this looks so awesome. This hover bike. I don't care what any of the haters out there say. This hover bike was wicked. It was so cool. But I fought this enemy last night on hard mode, and I forgot that you had to fight it a second time when you go back to get the Viola IC. I think the flight drone is potentially the worst and most annoying enemy in the whole game. This thing is so awful with like the triangle points around it or whatever. This thing sucks.
Oh, yeah.
God, it's like you should be able to like. This is basically like the cloak drone that you can wave beam or super missile and it's dead. You don't have any of these tools. You have to use your control beam to like somehow hit all those 3 doohickeys and not hit like the millions of things around it. It takes like multiple cycles to kill. Oh my god, this is like such a horrible enemy.
See, I kind of like the enemy because it is a little challenging to like control the control beam and not hit those little other mini drones around it. Like I'm more against the fact that so many enemies in this game are like a robot or a ball or a drone or something, like the Cybots over and over again and the big ball boss and now these things.
Give me the ball.
Like, I wish the enemies. It is a ball. It's a smaller ball. Like I don't know. I kind of wish there's a bit more like cooler enemy designs. Like I'm not here to shoot at circles and balls all the time. You know, like this. I actually don't mind this enemy, but like these and the Cybots showing up, I'm like, man. I get it. Like they're robots. They're easy to design, but could we have at least gotten a little bit more? Like something? I don't know.
No, I am so anti this drone. This drone is so it's not quite Kirby levels of vitriol here, but like I was so displeased fighting this last night.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this enemy. I'm not gonna rag as much as you are. I will say, I think the thing that I don't like, it's not necessarily all the mini bots that are blocking your shots. That I think is like a fine gameplay mechanic. What I don't like is how close the targets are to each other. And so every time you hit one target, you have to like flip this hard U-turn. And then like by the time you're reaching the second target, it's like right in your face and you have like very little time to react. So you almost have to like compensate and let the shot go out a little further.
Yeah, you got to let it send out. Yeah, you got to do a little bit of a wide U-turn. Yeah, I kind of like that. You know, it's not like straightforward. You got to finesse it a little bit. Like I like that. I thought that was cool. It makes it a little challenging.
Well,
I don't mind the challenge. It's the jankiness of it that I don't like. But
it does feel a little janky. That's fair.
It's a minor critique.
Listen, I just this enemy. Okay, it's put it in a cannon and shoot it to another planet because I never want to face this enemy again.
Well, you can do that. There's cannons all over the place on this planet apparently, or at least a couple of them that kind of shoot you around the planet. You can just put in one of those.
Oh, that's true. Maybe I'll try it for my next playthrough. I have a couple of quick points. So getting to Flare Pool, let's start off and let's park the companion talk for a quick second here because I have 3 points that I want your guys' opinions on. Point number 1 is like I don't know, and I am still unsure if that's supposed to actually be Silex that we see interfering with the tram and with the bridge.
Oh,
it's a robot.
Yeah, I thought that was Silex. I don't know what he was doing, but
I think we can save that for the end game, Andy.
I guess we can. Yeah, I just like. And I guess that's a conversation again about like what we talked about last week, which is like why are robots like dressed up as Silex? But so that yeah. I kind of was just a little bit like at. I was disappointed to hear Lower Norfair again. And I know it was only like the intro. Maybe it's actually Upper Norfair, Doom. You can correct me, but like the Norfair theme, like in general,
it's Magmore, the Magmore theme, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah.
How
like,
it's being presented, yeah.
This theme, I love this theme, okay, but like this theme needs a rest. Anytime there is ever a fire area anywhere, this theme plays. Like, and I would actually go so far as to say like fire areas need a rest. I was doing some data pulling earlier today. Do you know of every single Metroid game? Can you guess how many areas don't have a designated fire area?
Games, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. How many games don't have them?
Metroid Prime 2 is the only game I can think of
that
doesn't have a fire area.
I mean, does Federation Force? Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It has tons of areas. I don't know.
Samus Returns technically doesn't, but it has enough little fire areas, and I'm just counting it.
Yeah.
Metroid 2 is the only other one that doesn't, and it very well might have a fire area. We just don't know it because there's no color. Like fire areas can take a breather. That being said, my third point is this room, like the lava lake room, looks spectacular. This is just a spectacular looking set piece with the giant tower in the background. The room is incredible. On the big 4K TV in quality mode, I was just like, holy crap. Like this looks unbelievable. I was playing and Sam came down and she's like, this looks like Mordor. Like that looks like Barad-dûr. And she was right. It looks really cool. So really, really great room. But I think the next couple games, maybe we can just like tone
I
it down to
get
the
it
fire
because like
areas.
part of Metroid's whole thing is like Samus is like exploring a planet, and planets usually have like lava areas and or a core to go to, which is made of some kind of magma or lava. I get it, but yeah, I totally agree. Like I don't. It's like you said, like that we wanted some things to stay old and some things to be new, and this one of those things like. Okay, I've got my fill of this in previous Metro games. Let's try something new. Let's give me a new theme. Give me a new take on a fire area. Like I've already not only just had a fire area, but a big like mechanical setup like lab or whatever it is like factory in the fire area. We've even done that specifically many times before, even in the Metroid Prime series. So it's like, and then at least give it a cooler name. Like yeah, again, very retready on this. Like
I think Flare Pool is the coolest name of the bunch, to be honest.
I at least remember it. Yeah, I was calling it Ice Forge earlier, because they'll just blend together. Like I don't know, like just give me like I've played a video game before. There's even like there was at one point
Yeah.
where I think like this game almost makes me feel like I've never played a video game before. It gives me the classic ice green area, ice and fire areas, whatever, and then I go and give the flare or the ice chip, whatever, to Miles, and he's like, you can use the ice beam to freeze fire. I know that. I know. I played a video game before. I know I can use water or ice to melt or solidify lava. I've played a video game before, and like
Dak,
those
did you
kind of
know?
moments.
Dak, did you know that the red barrels explode?
Like stuff like that. It was almost like insulting my intelligence. This game. It's like you've never just played a Metro game before. You've never played a video game before. You don't even know how this stuff works. However, I will say, to be fair, someone in the Discord, we were talking about this earlier in the week, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Who Cam was saying that they know someone who had played the game, and they assumed that the ice beam or ice shot wouldn't affect magma or lava or fire because they're thinking of Pokemon where ice always loses to fire. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Like if you're thinking Metroid Zelda logic, this stuff is super obvious. But I guess if you only played like Pokemon or you're thinking Pokemon logic, you would actually think the reverse. So
I
fair
think it
enough,
goes
but,
back to like what we were talking about earlier, where it's like give players the option to turn off hints, like
or at least figure it out. Like it can't be that crazy, but at the very least, let's try to be a little. I was hoping this game would be a bit more like Prime 2, that where it felt a bit more like unique in terms of the theming and the settings, and like not just going back to the fire area again.
Right. And I think that's the thing. I think if it was just like the fire area that was retreaded, maybe we'd be a little bit more forgiving of it. If it was a fire area with like a new twist, we'd be more forgiving of it. But really the Vault Forge is the only like wholly unique like theming in the entire game. Everything else is like some sort of iteration that we've seen before. And I think that's the big issue, is that like, over 80 if not 90% of the theming feels like a retread of something we've seen before. Really, the Vault Forge and then the little bit of Chrono Tower for what it is like pretty much the only unique like art directions that are, I should say, wholly unique original art directions that really we've seen in this game.
Yeah. I mean, you're bang on. Like, I will say, like, I think that again, like some of the levels, we'll talk about it next week, but I actually am quite high on Great Minds. But like, so some of them are like iterations and they work, but like when you have a game full of iterations, it does stack and stand out a little bit more. Let's just say. Okay, I promised that we would come back to this, so I want to start off with a positive, and then I want to go to a negative. Okay. Because I do want this show, like, it sounds like we all hate Metroid Prime 4, and I don't. I quite like this game, like, a lot. I thought that companion-wise, I thought Duke was, like, fine. Whatever. He's your drill sergeant kind of military guy. You've seen him in a million other things before. I quite liked Armstrong. I thought that she was very sweet. I thought that it was just kind of like fun, a little bit of nice levity to see her this like starstruck by Samus. I don't know when we'll talk about it again, so we'll just talk about it now. Like I thought that the scene of her singing at Fury Green was really a highlight scene from this game. And I thought that the voice acting for both of them was good.
Yes. These two characters, whoever, like, it almost feels like their voice direction was completely separated from Miles and the other guy. These two, their voice direction is actually good, and their voice acting is good. But like, Yeah, like, oh my god, like these actually sound like not necessarily like real people, but like they sound like they fit in the scenario. Like I think Duke is the best character of the companions I've come across so far.
Okay.
Um, yes, this character has been in many other games, but he's the only character that like seems like is actually there. Like their voice acting feels like it feels natural to the situation. I like the character. Like, yeah, we need someone who's like taking this seriously and not
He
like quipping and like that is gruff and making things happen. I'm like, cool, I like this guy. He's finally someone like this. And his voice direction makes it sound like he's really there and things are actually happening to him and doesn't feel isolated in some booth. So
he was the
I
Doom
like
Slayer,
Duke.
wasn't he?
So yeah, in Dark Ages specifically, not Eternal, but in Dark
Oh.
Ages, he does his grunts and the single line of dialogue that he has in that game.
Oh,
Spoiler alert
okay.
for Dark Ages.
Okay.
I like Duke. Armstrong is, I mean, at this point in the game, I'm almost apathetic to the characters. I'm like, yeah, you know what? Why not? We have the fangirl character. Who cares? You know, like at this point, I don't even care anymore. I think the character's almost kind of funny. There was one point in the game where like she had like three rapid fire lines in a row where she's like, Samus, Aaron, and it's like popping. I'm like, whoa, like I thought she was gonna like serial kill me or something. Like it was
Yeah.
getting on like borderline crazy. I was like, whoa, oh my god, you're a little too big of a fan here.
Hey,
Like
that could be a good plot.
followed me around. Yeah, I was like, it was funny. I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. You know, I think my thing again. I'm not saying that I'm coming here for an Academy Award winning story from Metroid, but if you're gonna give me this like AAA level, like more cinematic, a little more story based game, you know, I wish it would kind of maybe go a bit more of the distance. I feel like some of these characters are maybe too one dimensional. I wanted just a little bit more, like with anime dub guy, like the whole spiritual access, you know, part of him. Like I wish there was that came through his character a bit more. Duke is like a grizzled veteran. You know, like okay, like what else was he involved in? Or like give me something else. I loved his red velvet cake line. I'm like, okay, this guy likes red velvet cake. He's a person. Like okay, cool. Armstrong, same thing. Like I get the main part of her character is loving Samus, but that's the only thing you get. I think one other offhanded line, which was like she's good with mechanics, which like to be honest, didn't do anything that anyone else couldn't have done. So I didn't really get that. Like I just wish there was a little bit more. If you're gonna give me
I'm gonna
the
defend
sentiment of
Armstrong
this is
and Duke like a bit because you haven't got to a later point in the game.
fair enough, but like just because this is like their big introduction, I just wish there was
Yeah.
like just a little bit more. Like if you're gonna go the direction of making this game feel more grandiose story wise and a bit more in depth and a bit more AAA, whatever it is, cinematic, like then just don't give me these like flat cardboard characters. Like give me just a little bit more. Like Armstrong, it's just suck out because it's almost as if like she couldn't say a line unless it was specifically tied to her love of Samus. Like she couldn't even have one other line that wasn't related to that. It was crazy. But I do like these two characters. Like they even made me laugh when I was like, okay, fine, we have someone who's taking this seriously other than me. Like that kind of stuff. You know, I like that this is a game that like Samus is held in reverence. It's like, oh, it's cool to see Samus, right? It's not like other M where like Samus is like an outsider, like, oh, that's Samus, that's dope. I'm like, yeah, cool, awesome, love that. Um, Execution does leave again a bit to be desired, but these are Duke is my favorite character so far. But I would say these two characters I liked, and I like the red velvet cake. So
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with everything you've said before. I mean, it again it goes back and I talked about this after we played Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight showed me that you can have these really compelling characters without losing the isolation aspects in a Metroidvania. And it's funny because I think you know that team and at Team Cherry, it's a small team of these kind of people that at the time no one had ever heard of, and I think the writing for those characters is substantially better than the writing in this like big AAA blockbuster video game. So I find that interesting. That being said, I do enjoy these characters for what they were, but I do at the same time I want a bit more if this is the direction
yeah,
that we're going to be taking Metroid in, Like I am not anti NPC even after this game. Like if you want to put more NPCs in Metroid game, I'm totally on board for that, but you have to put a lot more investment into them, and you have to make me care about them more than just these one-off gimmicks, as I like to call them. And sometimes the one-off gimmicks can be really charming and funny. Like there's this line that Armstrong has where you go into Morph Ball for the first time. She's like, "Yo, Sarge, that's the Morph Ball," and that got a giggle out of me. I like that.
That was
but
great. Yeah.
Yeah, but like really, unless you're at the base camp, that's pretty much all you're getting out of these characters is their one-dimensional, caricatures. It's not
Yeah.
until you get to the base camp, and even then, at the base camp, they're still kind of doing a lot of their caricature stuff. But that's really the only place, for the most part, where you really get to see these characters fleshed out. And I need a lot more than that if you want me to be invested in these NPCs.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of like. I thought that I guess like my expectation is like these are not going to be very deep characters, so I wasn't too terribly offended by their lack of depth. But I would say that, and they could still do this too, by the way. But like I think that it would be cool to like have like little, like when you play Breath of the Wild, you can go to some places and see like memories, and it shows different character moments and stuff like that, or even just like similar to like the Takabi conversations. Like I think like every character could have probably used some of that. Maybe not View, but like the rest of them could have. Maybe that could still be something that happens, but that's my positive. I like Armstrong particularly, and I thought that Duke was pretty good, if not something that you've seen before. But like, I have to say, like, I kind of hinted at this last week, but like, I think that this game does a miserable job in how they portray Samus. A miserable job. Samus might as well be a robot because she has no emotion. She has no speech, nothing at all. Like, if you are going to include playable character, like NPCs in this game, companion characters, I think you have to be able to be willing to make Samus talk. This would be like having Other M, where Samus doesn't say a word to anybody. And not only doesn't say a word, doesn't acknowledge anybody. You have like these characters talking to Samus, and Samus just gazes at them, like no light in her eyes. It is distracting. It is detracting, and it's really disappointing, to be honest with you. Like why? I understand that like Other M, what was amiss, and that like maybe a lot of people blame the decision of having Samus talk in that game, but like I'm sorry, like it is like incredibly weird. I know that you can say like, well, Samus talks with her body language, but she has no body language in this game. She just blankly stares and like
maybe a nod, or
not even
like
that. Not even that.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing. And that's
I
one of my
agree.
biggest complaints about this game is like Samus looks terrible. Like she looks she looks borderline rude like when she's interacting with these people. Like
I totally agree. Like I think it's one thing, like again, early in the game where like they kind of play it for laughs where Samus has no response with Miles. I hear that. But there are certain points in this game where she's literally being talked to, like the guy in the ice belt, and has no response, no reaction. Like, I don't know. It is, again, like, I get it if you like want a silent protagonist, or Samus is so locked in, or whatever. Like, I don't know, come up with some headcanon reason for it. But no, I'm sorry. Like, if you're gonna have this character and have them interact with all these other people, or be around other characters, she could at least say something. Like you have this character Armstrong who's like practically like crazily in love with Samus, and Samus doesn't have a single line, and Armstrong doesn't say anything about the fact that Samus refuses to speak to her at all. At least Duke, I can kind of get like accepting the silent type trope thing. But like, no, can't. I'm not saying she has to be quipping, but like, I don't know. Like, she can't say something. Like, that's honestly ridiculous.
Master Chief is your obvious comparable right there. Like, Master Chief speaks when it's impactful, right? And like Samus could do that too. Samus speaks in Metroid Fusion. A lot of people, I would say, the high point of Metroid Dread, I think I said this last week, is when she speaks in Chozo. Like,
yeah,
Samus could talk. Like she does the opening monologue in Super Metroid, the famous last words, like,
Samus has been through some stuff, but she's not unable to communicate. And one of the reasons why I mean, it makes sense in Metroid Prime. She has no one to talk to. I can understand maybe she would say something to herself, like I talk to myself all the time, like fine. But she has literally no one to talk to. In this game, and even in like Prime 3, she's like almost being talked around. Like the other hunters aren't really talking to her. They're kind of talking to each other, and they're kind of like nudging her on the elbow and the ribs a little bit, and like they're not really talking to her, not really having a conversation with her. In this game, people are literally having like one-on-one conversations with Samus, and she has no response. And again, I don't need like Master Chief is kind of like a little hokey, a little corny, has these kind of quippy one-liners, like that's kind of his character. But like Samus could be saying at least one, two things, especially when, again, like you said, like some of the most appealing parts of other Metroid games is Samus's character and her talking. You can't establish her character if she says nothing and seems to have no take or anything. I mean, one of the reasons why I love Fusion is because she's not just talking, she's like arguing with Adam. She's being reflective. She's making her point. She's calling shots. Like, I'm like, that's Samus. Like, that's who that not even just Samus, who someone would be in that situation, that's who they would be like, like she's not taking, no for an answer sometimes. Sometimes she's questioning things when she needs to. So many times in this game, like, where's that Samus? Like, where can I get that one? I don't need her monologuing, but like, where is that like little bit of fire? Where's that interactivity as a human being? Like, where is that kind of communication? It's the fact that it's completely non-existent in this game. In 2025, you're not going to have her say, especially when you have a voice actor who's great, and you have this Samus voice actor. I forget her name, but she's in some other games too.
Jennifer Hale.
She was in Dispatch.
Yes, literally a phenomenal voice actor, and you hire her to do the grunts again. You could have just used the same sound effects from the first game. Like, what is even the point? That's ridiculous.
I'm gonna say something that you guys might hate. I think that like Link from The Legend of Zelda has far more personality than Samus does in this game.
I agree. You can at least see his facial expressions and like his whimsy and stuff like that. Samus just stands there.
Never said a word. Like, I just like, it is actively like very distracting from the story, and I've seen some people like defend this, and like I get it. Like, you want your character to be like your avatar, I guess, but like I can't do it anymore. Like, these silent protagonists are ruining the game.
The game doesn't even present her as an avatar. They try to present her as an actual individual character, but then she doesn't have any of those traits that would make her a unique, distinct individual character. That's the problem. If the game actually presented her as a silent protagonist, as an avatar, fine, but it doesn't. So we don't get those aspects of what should be there from how they present her as a character.
I was actually thinking about this. I was like, this only makes sense if like Samus is actively trying to like conceal her identity somehow.
Yeah, like you don't know who Samus is.
But even then, it's like you can't tell me.
Joey.
Exactly. Like, to be honest, like, but then like you couldn't still convince me then that she has like some little garble voice distorter.
That could at least
Batman
be fun though.
has.
I would at least accept that though. I would at least accepted that. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah.
It's very distracting, and I don't know. Doom, are you as fussed with this as we are?
No, I 100% agree with everything you're saying. It's getting ridiculous now. And I think, Dak, you brought up an important point that I wanted to touch on too, because, Prime 3 also has a lot of voice acting. At the time, it was the most voice acting we'd ever seen in a Metroid game by a long shot. And while there definitely are some goofy and odd moments where Samus doesn't respond to something she probably should have, it's definitely nowhere near as egregious to this game. Because like you're saying, a lot of the dialogue in that game has Samus as a silent protagonist in mind, and they're specifically crafting that dialogue in a way and mostly successfully doing that to a point where you can get away with Samus being silent. This game, it's like they refuse to let Samus speak, but then they're not taking that into consideration when they're writing the dialogue. You have questions that you characters that are asking Samus like complex questions. And when I say complex questions, I mean something that requires more than just a yes or a no, and then she just kind of stands there and just does a shrug like, or like a nod, and it's like, and yeah, like you said, Andy, like it comes off as like borderline rude in so many places, and it feels like, I'm looking at Samus on the screen, but I feel like I'm watching a completely different character than what I've seen. And
literally a robot that looks like
you're
Samus,
watching like the freaking SAS on Planet Vuros here.
Exactly. Yes.
The SAX at least has I think a little bit more personality. I think I literally feel, how the Cybots dress up as Silex. It feels like I'm playing a Cybot dressed up as Samus. It does. And you know what? And again, some people could be like, well, that's not what I come to Metroid for. Fine, but if they're going to present the game like this and go in this direction, then go in that direction, right?
100%. Yes. Make a game like Metroid Prime or Prime 2 where there's no one around for you to talk to. If you want to
or at least make it make sense where the NPCs aren't directly asked, like Doom said, complex non-yes or no questions. Again, if you want to go the Prime 3 route where like all the Federation troopers are kind of like have camaraderie with each other and have nothing really to say to Samus directly, I can see Samus being the silent time. I mean, Halo Reach kind of does the same thing where like the rookie is like doesn't really have anything to say in most situations because they just join the team and like they're not, and all that kind of stuff. But if you're gonna have characters, especially one who is their whole character is loving Samus, you're telling me you're gonna meet I meet Kurt Angle and I go up to Kurt Angle and he just blankly stares at me and doesn't say anything after I told him he's a top 5 wrestler in my life the whole time. Like you're telling me I wouldn't be like, yo, bro, like you're not even gonna say hello to me? Like that to me is like it almost goes out of its way to highlight how Samus is not talking. Like you said, like not even planning the dialogue properly for a character who plans to never say anything the whole time. And I guess like I'm sure some people think that we're harping on this a little bit, but again, it's just one of those things in this game that it starts to stack and stack and stack, and then another one of these things happens. I'm like,
I don't think that this is a little issue.
I wouldn't even call this. Yeah, I was gonna say this is not a minor nitpick. This is like a very distracting issue that is present. That is present throughout the entire game.
You're right.
So no, I think this
is a major flaw of this game.
Yeah, this warrants a rant 100%.
Yeah, that's all I got to say on it though, because it is wild.
And again, I'm whatever. Whether Samus is a silent or talking protagonist, I don't really care. Just like craft the game around that. Craft if there is going to be narrative and dialogue, craft that around whatever direction you want to take Samus in.
I agree, but I even feel like it's a missed opportunity because like Samus, I think, is great when she is talking a little bit and having some personality. I mean, it wouldn't have been great if like Samus chimed in and was like, "Hey, dude, can you let her like use the elevator once? Like, what's the big deal?" Like that kind of stuff. Where Samus is like the voice of reason almost, right? She's been through this stuff before. Like, needs to say what only needs to be said, and like that kind of stuff would be great. Where Samus jumps in, is like, "No, actually, we're gonna do this," or like, "You need to relax. We're all good." Like that kind of stuff. Where Samus is like I guess primed to have those good kind of answers. So I almost would say like it even is a more of a missed opportunity because it doesn't take advantage of those aspects of Samus' character properly.
Yeah. Let's move on. Let us know if you agree or disagree, but I think that this is a major issue of this game. Flare Pool itself, the area, it's basically like one big long hallway, which I have seen the critiques about, and I get that, but like, I think by this point, I'm kind of realizing like what kind of game Metroid Prime 4 is, and I'm like, you know what? That's fine. Like, you know what? It's one big hallway, like that's fine. I thought that the tram sequence was really cool. I thought it was neat, and I thought that like the escape sequence after was really well done. So I did have fun with that. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it until there was a moment where I thought I was going to keep escaping, and then there was a cutscene that played, and then Samus is out of the flare pool totally fine. Up until that point, I thought it was cool. But wow, that was a huge letdown when Samus is like, "I'll stay behind." Which, by the way, another situation where Samus could have said something. But I guess maybe in that scenario, maybe nothing needed to be said.
That one I think is okay, personally.
Yeah, but then Samus, she's gonna stay behind. I'm like, yes, this is Samus gonna stay behind. She knows she can get out of there. They head out, and then boom, cutscene, and Samus is fine. That was a huge disappointment.
Yeah, I thought that what you were doing beforehand was pretty intense, and I
agree. No, I agree. I said, I mean, what happened beforehand was great.
I get what you're saying. Like
then
maybe
they cut it off at the knees.
Yeah,
or could have finished it. I don't know. It felt like it was half of the escape sequence.
Yeah, I mean, I still thought it was quite good. Like I said, I thought the really the tram sequence I think is the highlight here, but before getting to the boss, of course. Yeah, I thought it was good. Dude, what do you think?
I feel like I kind of had the opposite reaction you did, where it's like at that point you were kind of accepting where it was point A to B. That was kind of the point where I realized that every single area is going to be like this, and I was like, oh, it really is all just going to be like this. Okay. And I don't know. I thought it was fine, but I wasn't terribly impressed by Flare Pull. I definitely think at this point, this is for me at least the weakest point in the game so far.
I agree.
I will say though, I did really love that escape sequence. if there was a little bit more to it, I would even dare say probably the best escape sequence in the game. But I think there's a couple of other escape sequences that do better. But like that whole grapple beam section was just so killer. I wanted like a lot more of that and like a satisfying finisher. And I think you could have incorporated the escape sequence into the boss fight as well, because all of that is happening during the boss fight as well. But there's no timer, and so I personally would have just combined the two. I thought that would have like really escalated things a bit.
I can't even think of another escape sequence in the game. I'm sure there
I
are,
think
but
that's only one up until this point.
Oh, did I say in the game? I meant like in the series. Sorry. Excuse me.
okay.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah. I mean, in the
misspoke
series, like definitely, it's not.
The series was great. I love like Flare Pool, like the level design. I mean, yeah, this is like the worst level in the game by far. I think like where it's excelling is like the bombast, like the story. Like there are some compelling moments with the characters. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But again, the game is so inconsistent. Why can't I get that stuff and a really cool, well-designed level and gameplay? I have to always have one or the other. And this kind of brings me back to earlier where it's like, now I'm in the part of the game where it's literally just a linear straight line experience. And I'm like, other games do this way better and have been for decades. That's why I kind of feel like I get the like generic sci-fi adventure FPS thing to me, because I'm like, this is a very like just watered down, like I've played this before and way better versions of just like your more like popular sci-fi FPS game. If anything, I would say like something like Halo might even be less linear than this. Like this is a literal straight hallway. Like even in Halo games, you make some right and left turns. This one, you're not even doing that. So it's like again, like I almost like, why are we doing this? Because if that's not what I come to Metroid for. Is it cool? I guess sure. If this was the bookend for a much larger and more in-depth area, and then they had this like last sequence as a more scripted thing, that would have been cool. But the fact that that's all it is, like I've played this and more in better games for the past few decades, and so I was not impressed with this at all.
Yeah, when it comes to straight line shootouts, honestly, I thought the pirate homeworld invasion was done much better than this was. If we want to make a comparison,
I mean, I think like the pirate homeworld as well was like much more. What's the word I'm looking? Not interconnected, but like it wasn't just a straight shot either.
Yeah, there was more going on.
Yeah, I would probably say this is probably the weakest level in the game, particularly on revisits to go back to. I guess like I was just kind of like, okay, this is what the game is like. I'm gonna enjoy it for what it is. I don't have like a lot more to add on to it. The area itself, I think, is I think you could probably like say between like the music and between the design, a lot of the enemies that you fight there, the lack of really any kind of like meaningful like lore or world building. There are a few Lamorn pieces.
The volcano
of lore,
thing
like,
was kind of cool, where you see how like the green rain came out the volcano. I was like, okay,
that's
you
know what?
it's something,
That
it's like,
cool.
all right, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, the constant Cybot fights, especially in this area, I was getting pretty sick.
Like here's the thing though, like this area should be like when you get to this area, in my mind, this should be where you really learn like what the green energy is. That could have really elevated this area to a higher height than it got to. I thought the set pieces were cool, but I mean it was okay, and I'm gonna extend that actually to the boss, the area. So you get to what the hell is this thing called again? Feneros, and I started fighting this boss, and I was like, this is really cool. This is a fun boss. It's like a pretty decent Viola boss fight. Nothing super in depth, and then but fun, and then you fight the second half of it, and you would again have a pretty fun battle. I thought though, and I don't know if you guys will agree with this, but like when I was at the point where I'm like, hey, this thing is dead, and its mouth is open, I was like, what the hell do I do? And I was just like, what is the game asking me to do? Is it asking me to jump over? Is it asking me to like grapple? Is it like I just didn't put two and two together. Like, oh, the control beam. So I'm sitting there and I was just like, oh, like okay, like what should I do? And like I feel like maybe this is a me issue, but I feel like that moment where like you got to stop, pause, shoot, control, really sucked away the momentum of this boss battle at the what should have been like the crescendo of the boss battle. So I did kind of come away being like, that was a fun boss fight, but I can't say that it was like a top boss fight in the game for me.
This is the best boss fight in the game.
No way. No way.
No.
This is the
Not
best
even
boss.
close. Dude.
I love
Not
this
even
boss.
close.
I friggin' love this boss fight. The area itself I was not a fan of, but I got 2 thumbs up. And now, is it going to be in my top 10 Metroid boss fights of all time? Probably not. But for this game, without question, my favorite boss fight. The control beam thing, it did throw me for a loop too, but I love that it threw me for a loop. I was like, piecing together and what's going on, and then once it did click for me that I had to use the control beam to like shoot inside of its mouth and shoot the weak point in the stomach, I was like, that is the coolest finisher ever. Like that felt like a really clever puzzle that like really satisfied me. Yeah, I love this boss fight.
Okay.
I'll die on this hill happily.
Okay. I didn't expect that, actually.
I thought it was. I mean, I'm happy for you, man. I thought it was okay. It wasn't the worst boss fight. It wasn't the best. I thought like it looked cool. I mean, I don't understand like why there's this big dragon monster in there or whatever it is, sea serpent thing. Like, sure, it's there, fine. We need a big Magmor type enemy in the lava. Sure, why not? I do think like eventually the pacing kind of like the control beam is cool, but it does kind of like kill the pacing a little bit. Where like now the fight becomes, can I navigate this little, drone shot to hit a certain thing, and it doesn't. It kind of loses a little bit of the oomph of it. The first phase is okay, but like, I mean, it's not challenging. Your attacks are auto aim on the Viola. It's not like it's really that hard. You just gotta like not get dunked by the giant monster in the pool with you, which is pretty easy. And then the final thing where you got to shoot through its heart or into its throat or whatever. Like, okay, cool. Like, I do like again where the game tries to make you think a little bit outside the normal Metroid Prime formula for other options that you've gained through the game. But like, once you actually use them, like, okay, it's all right. But yeah, I didn't. It didn't really spark joy within me. It was okay. It was cool. Was it like something that I'm like adored? Absolutely not. Or was it something that I hated? No. It was just kind of like, whatever. It was cool, I suppose. We got to have a boss, and here it is. Then now we're gonna move on, and that's it.
I would say this had pretty much everything that I'd want in a boss fight. The only thing I would say it's missing, and I guess technically it's not even missing it, but I would have wanted a lot more of it, is more morph ball action. Because those typically my favorite bosses have a lot more morph ball action, and you do technically get to dodge. You do technically get to dodge its little fire beam with the morph ball, but you know what I mean, like more morph ball interactivity.
I'll tell you what,
yeah,
if there was a
otherwise,
boost,
it's
like a psychic boost into its mouth at the end, and you bombed it to
Yeah,
death,
that
that would
would've
be
been
cool.
yeah, that'd be
That
pretty
would've been
killer. I'd be
cool.
down for that.
Yeah, no, I
But yeah,
agree.
but there's multiple targets. You can't just lock on and aim. You do have to like navigate, use the free aim a little bit. There's attacks that you have to dodge. If you do get hit, it's very punishing and will take out large amounts of your health. And then again, the control beam section at the end, made me scratch my head for a little bit. And then when I did figure it out, you get this really cool finishing where you're navigating the inside of its intestines. You get that. That's another big complaint about this game. This game isn't gross enough. I want to get gross in Metroid. This is probably the grossest moment in the game where you actually have to navigate the control beam inside of it to like hit the weak point. And it's like, I need more of that in Metroid. So yeah, I don't know. This boss checked pretty much all the boxes for me. I came out very happy.
That's good. I think like it had me up until the end. I think like I feel like I did like the Viola part, even though it like sure it's free aim, but I think the hover bike is just cool and like being in lava is cool. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that end just kind of sucked the wind out of me, unfortunately. But we'll have to revisit this when we do a boss ranking of this game, because we will do that probably in the new year at this point, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that obviously that you liked the Fenris fight, and that, like someone was kind of like, we're ending Flare Point on a high. How about that? So yeah. Flare Point, what's this play? Flare Pool.
Flare Point, Flare Pool, Flame Pool, Flame Point,
Snow Belt,
Snow Forge, Ice Forge,
Point Break.
Yeah, so I feel a little bit bad. I don't think that we were as positive this episode as maybe some fans would like us to be, but I do think that there's a lot of fair critiques, and that the game does kind of need to meet you in the middle a little bit there in order to to get like glowing praise. I think that we did a good job like pointing out a lot of the things that we did like as well. So I can hear it now. Like maybe some people disappointed with our reactions to this episode, but I mean, hey, we're three guys and we got to tell the truth on this show. We cannot tell you a lie.
We're not getting paid like Andy to show the game. Some of us
Yeah.
actually have to give our honest opinions.
Yeah.
I think at this point, like, I mean, I got a little passion in this episode, but like, I almost feel kind of like apathetic to the game now. Like, I know what the rest of it's gonna be, unless I'm like really surprised by how it ends. And from the comments, I feel like I'm gonna be surprised in an unpleasant way, which isn't exactly exciting me. But like, the more I
No
play the
comment.
game, just the more the play of the game, the more I play the game. I hate to say this, folks. Like, I just feel like I do feel disappointed. I'm like, this is it. Like, that's what I waited for. Like, it's kind of like $70. All I'm gonna say is that I can buy Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach ODST, single player, multiplayer, theater, custom mode, horde mode, customization for $10 on Steam right now. Or something like that. $15, $20. This game was $70. I do not feel like I'm getting my $70 worth. Truthfully, I don't feel like I really have from any Switch 2 game, but like this game, I'm feeling like very let down. It's not like I feel very apathetic to it. I almost like I'm not you guys were like, "Oh, you haven't finished the game yet?" Like I'm in no rush. It's not like I'm in no rush because I've also waited for this game for so long. I don't want to rush through it. But on the other hand, I'm like from what I've played, I'm not like really dying every day to go and jump in and play more of it. I'm not dying to play hard mode. I'm not dying to 100% the game. It's very blah, like whatever. It's not Other M. I almost honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I almost wish it was as bad as Other M because at least I would have some enjoyment on dunking on the game and how horrible it is. It would make me laugh. This game is just very bland. It's very like whatever. It's not evoking a strong emotion or reaction out of me either way, good or bad. It's just very in the middle, just very like whatever. And that's very disappointing to me. So I'm gonna say like I'm still okay, like kind of enjoying it ish, but am I really loving it? Am I really enjoying it a ton? I gotta say very honestly, I'm not.
I'll say this, and I'll save my full thoughts for when we do our definitive ranking of the game. But do I think Metroid Prime 4 is a good game? Yes.
Totally.
Do I also think Metroid Prime 4 is a disappointing game? Absolutely. 100%. And I'll just leave it at that.
Well,
I think
let's not jump
game.
too far ahead here. Let's save it for when we get to the end here, guys. And I'm going to tell you this. I am actually like quite excited for next week. So next week, like we talked about, it's going to be kind of the final act before the finale. So we're going to talk about the Great Minds. We are going to talk about a return visit to Volt Forge, and we are going to talk about the Metroid Prime 4's version of the artifact hunt. And a return as well to our favorite area that we talked about today, the flare pool. So lots to talk about, and I'm excited for next week because I have to say I am quite high on the areas that we're going to talk about, and I might be the only one. We'll see, but I'm really excited about that. And then the week after that. I mean, it's time to talk about the end of this game. A lot of people have said that they appreciate that we're kind of like slowly dripping this out, but we're 2 weeks to go, and then we're going to talk about the end game, and then we're going to get granular. We're going to talk about some of the bosses. We'll do a music show. We'll talk about some of the things in depth in this game, and of course, we'll answer some fan questions as well. So lots and lots and lots to look forward to here. We are going to sign off for today, though. So let us know what you think of the ice belt, what you think of the flare pool. If you thought that our critiques were fair, unfair, let us know. Let us know what you think. Any final thoughts before we get out of here, guys?
The Great Minds better be really good, man. You're hype. I'm cautious because if Andy says it's good, I'm like, well, is it really good or is it Andy enjoys it? And those are two
I will say I enjoyed them.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I mean,
I don't know how you guys are gonna feel, but you know what? We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it next week.
Saying that, it scares me a little bit. Man.
Well,
I'm keeping my mouth shut until next week.
That also scares me. You keep putting it that way.
Okay.
I'll experience it for myself.
I don't want to influence anyone's opinion one way or the other.
Okay, there we go. Okay, guys. let's get out of here. Thank you everybody so much for checking us out, and again, thank you to everybody that had Omega Metroid Podcast on your Spotify Wrapped. A lot of you tagged us in our Discord on Blue Sky, so we appreciate it all. Very, very cool. Check out our guide and progress on OmegaMetroid.com. We got all the expansions up. We got a lot of different areas of this game mapped out. And speaking of maps, that will be up very, very shortly. Not the easiest game to make a map for, to be honest with you. So it is coming, and hopefully it's up by next week. And OmegaMetroid.com, of course, has all the latest Metroid news, Metroid guides, Metroid stuff. If you want Metroid, man, OmegaMetroid.com. It has you covered. Tell your friends about the Omega Metroid Podcast. If you got a new Metroid fan in your life, maybe they're playing Prime 4 for the first time, tell them about the only podcast on this earth that does a weekly Metroid show. How? I don't know, but we do. Every single week, we're pumping out new episodes. We've been going strong for, it's going to be 6 years in February, so make sure that you are recommending this show to a friend. Subscribe to wherever you get your podcasts, and while you're there, review, rate, all that kind of good stuff. Check out our YouTube page as well. If you ever want to see these podcasts in video form, you can see our faces as we shout at each other and debate Metroid. You can see cameos from my dog in the background as well, so make sure to give us a subscription. Plus, we've got walkthroughs over on the YouTube page as well. And lastly, give us a follow over on Blue Sky, at Spiteri316, at Doominal Cross, at Dax City, and at Omega Metroid. That, my friends, is going to do it for us. We're back here for the finale before the finale next week. Until then, everybody, ciao.